I would like to call to order the Alton Area School District School Board meeting, November 9th at 7:01 p.m. Could everyone stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Could we have a roll call, please?
I'm having technical difficulties, so Nick's going to help me out. Mr. Baker.
Here.
Mrs. Bream.
Here.
Mr. Francis.
Here.
Mr. Hawk.
Here.
Mr. Hoover.
Here.
Mrs. Irwin Adams.
Here.
Mr. Johnston.
Here.
Mr. Cruz.
Here.
Dr. Malloy.
Here.
Thank you. I want to announce we did have an executive session this evening at 6 p.m. for reasons of personnel.
Okay, if I can, I want to put a couple of adjustments to the agenda. First of all, we have an additional change order / allowance. This is to run a 2-inch water line to the practice field, the athletic IM field. We're going to run a 2-inch line. We're basically going to run a hose bib up for a 1-inch line, but we'll have the ability to expand it if we need to later. If we need additional water, we'll have the capacity. They're just tapping that right into the main line that goes into the building. It will finish off our plumbing allowance with the $2,359. Total out of the change order contingency will be $4,932. Also, the administration is going to pull B2 from the personnel agenda.
Okay, so I guess we're ready to move on to hearing from citizens.
Hearing from citizens. I will be dialing up. That's it. Okay. Hello, Ms. Lear.
Yes.
This is Dr. Priatel for the Altoona School Board.
Hi.
We are calling you for public comment.
Yes. Actually, I was just going to, kind of make a generalized statement, really. Well, first off, when was your meeting last Thursday actually announced?
It was announced Tuesday. It was advertised on Tuesday.
Okay. Is there a reason why whenever unions have these meetings and everything that, we can get emails about 20,000 other things, but never about these school board meetings?
They're publicly advertised. It's in the newspaper. It's on the website, etc.
Okay. And also, are you doing live, in-person meetings now where parents can come in?
Not yet. We have
When's that going to be available for us to actually be able to come in and voice our concerns again?
When the state allows us to have at least 50% capacity. Right now, we're 25 people are 25%.
Okay. And why was the switch to the hybrid model? And why, as parents, I listened to your last meeting. You said that y'all presented new evidence in there and everything, or not evidence, but new information with the COVID numbers and Mr. Howman being there and everything. And then just went ahead and voted without ever asking parents how they actually feel about that. Because I know whenever I signed my kids back up, it was for full-time traditional. Because my kids actually need that. I I understand that COVID is a big deal. I don't impugn it at all in any way, shape, or form. But like, my kids are actually, suffering from being at home, education-wise. I have a student that has an IEP, and is not doing very, his grades are pretty good, as long as literally one of us is standing behind him the whole time, working everything out with him. Like, parents are already under enough stress with having to deal with COVID at their workplace or wherever else, everywhere you go pretty much. And having this extra stuff on our plate is not very easy at all. And I'm not saying it's like that for everybody, but in my particular case, it is actually 100% very difficult. I work a full-time job and also have to somehow, supervise my child's education, who's 11 years old.
Okay. And I understand that. I think the board understands that. This is not an easy decision for anyone. We have to balance it. That's the reason we're trying to get every kid in as much as possible. But the reality is, in order to have spacing, in order to be able to maintain social distancing and to keep a safe situation, the board voted to basically run a hybrid option where every child is in every other day and online every other day. I had to quarantine a building last week. And
okay, I understand that.
The problem we're having is with the spread, and it is getting very difficult to ensure that we're not just going to be randomly sending classes home at this point in time because of spread.
And I think we as parents actually do understand that. But like I said, it's kind of hard to feel like you're being heard whenever we all say something that we want. And from what I heard last week, they said like 85–90% of parents wanted their kids to go back to full traditional. I understand the risk that is involved with that. I don't, like I said, impugn that COVID is a real thing and that it exists. But I also know that I'm watching it affect my kids in a very bad way. I'm watching them become sad. I'm watching them become withdrawn. Where I understand that COVID is bad, but that is equally as bad. That is also bad.
And that was taken into consideration, and we're doing everything we possibly can to make the best of a terrible situation.
And these,
but to me it just seems like maybe parents should be taken a little bit more into consideration before, people make decisions and don't even give us credit that we can make responsible decisions regarding our children. If they're sick, I'm pretty sure most responsible parents would keep their kids home. If you have a family member that is ill, I'm pretty sure maybe they would not choose to send their kid back to traditional school.
and some of us have brought that up. We think that the parents.
I heard some of you bring that up, and I applaud you for bringing that up, because I really do think that at some point this comes down to parents being able to make an educated decision. We understand the numbers are going up. It is literally shoved down our throats on a daily basis. But I also know that for my kids, they are eager to get back in that classroom. They're eager to get back in there 100%. I educate my kids about COVID. They understand everything. I just think sometimes we get the short end of the stick, and you make a decision that's just saying, hey, this is what's best for everybody. But no, really, sometimes it's not what's best for everybody. And I think, parents should be able to make a choice on their own, based on their own family situation, what is best for their children.
I know that this board is trying as hard as we can to get your students back in school every day. That is definitely our wish, and as soon as we possibly can, we will do that.
Thank you.
I have no choice but to believe that, but.
Thank you, Ms. Lear.
You're welcome.
You have a good evening.
To transfer.
No, I don't want to transfer anybody. One more, Deanne Evans. Hope I got the number right.
Hello?
Hello, Ms. Evans.
Yes.
This is Dr. Charles Priatel, the Altoona School District. You are now live at the Altoona Area School District School Board meeting.
Thank you for calling.
5 minutes. Public comment.
I do have a letter that I wrote. I'm going to go ahead and read that, and I appreciate if I can just get through it, and then if you have any return comments, you can give them then.
Okay.
First, I want to say thank you to Ed, Sharon, and Kelly for fighting for the families and students. We see you and appreciate you. You have surveyed parents and mentioned Thursday that 85 to 90% of parents that have returned those surveys say we want our children back in school. We understand the risk. We have access to the news, media, and internet like you. We hear the professionals and what they recommend. We have weighed the pros and cons. We know our children and what will help them succeed and what will make them fail. On Thursday, the comment kept being made by Rick Hoover about taking the community into consideration and protecting the community. You are not community board members. You are school board members, voted in and here to oversee our children and their education in the school district. Not the city, not the county, not the state. We have other elected officials for that. The plan that was in place would have benefited every family. There were 3 options: in-person, virtual, and cyber. If a family was not comfortable or could not do the face-to-face option, then they still had 2 options to choose from. I would like to know what my other option is, since the ones presented do not fit from my family. I have a 1st grader who has fallen behind almost 2 full reading levels. We tried virtual, and we are currently in cyber. I also have a 7th grader who is diagnosed with autism, ADHD, and anxiety. He loves school and has been begging to go back. Now, he is being diagnosed with depression and about to be put on more medications. All because your board can't let families decide what is best for their children. Who decides what is more important, physical health or mental health? Working in the mental health field myself, I'd like to say on that. My special needs son has an SBA 100% of his school day while at school. How are you following his IEP by not providing that extra support while he's not allowed in school? I am paying $320 a month to have someone come to my office and work on his school with him. Meanwhile, I'm still paying school taxes for a school my son isn't allowed in. How does that make sense? The comment was made by Dr. Priatelli on Thursday that having the junior high and high school kids learn from home allowed the school to get through the sporting season. While I agree that sports are important to many students, they're not important to all students. So if you as a board can put so much time and consideration into allowing sports to continue, why can't that same consideration be put into my special needs son? The one, like so many others, who fall between the cracks in your new plan because he doesn't need to attend full-time autistic support, yet he can't be offered the support he does need. You planned an emergency meeting, introduced a new plan, and voted on it, all in one day, without allowing families to weigh in on a decision about our children. The 6 of you who voted for this have failed so many children. And to those 6, just know, we see you too.
Thank you.
That's the end.
Thank you.
So no comments about how we're gonna work with the special education?
If you have an issue with special education, I know that the supervisor for the junior high will be more than happy to work with you to make that happen.
I have talked to them, and you know what I was told for the one class? They're making all the changes that they can to his plan. Even though when he was in school, he was in the emotional support classroom for up to 60% of his day. On some days, he was in the emotional support classroom 100% of his day. Where's that help? Where's his SBA for 100% of his school day? Why should I, when I have my son enrolled in public education, why should I be spending $320 for someone to come work with my son when his school is supposed to be doing that?
Again, I can't discuss that. We need to go through.
Why?
You need to go through the special ed department.
I did go to the special education department. Isn't the hierarchy that I now come to you? As a school board, don't you ever see that?
I will find out what the issue is. This is the first I heard of it. I have a note that you wanted to speak tonight. You now brought a personal issue regarding your son in special ed. That needs to go through through the IEP and the special ed process.
And as I mentioned in my letter, it's not just my son that is considered special education or special needs that are falling through the cracks in your plan. You're failing children and their mental health. If you're worried about the physical health, you should also be worried about the mental health. Thank you. Have a good night.
All right. I will make sure we get in touch with her again tomorrow to deal with her individual issues.
Do we have another one?
That's it.
That's
only
it.
two. Only two.
Okay.
So I have a quick question on that.
Yeah.
You're gonna check with her. Are there other families though that were not, I don't know, are there other families we need to check with?
We have, the special ed department has been in contact with all of their, with everyone on their caseload regarding how they're going to be doing school. All of our supplemental support kids are coming in 5 days a week. The lesser handicapped students have varying schedules depending on what their needs are.
So if her son's IEP says that he needs to be in school 5 days a week, then he's going to be in school 5 days a week?
That's going to be a decision from the special ed department as to what he truly needs.
Wouldn't that already be in the IEP?
Not necessarily. I don't have all the facts.
Okay.
I just don't have, none of us have all the information. We will take a look at it.
Well, that's what
Okay.
I'm saying. Just make sure we look at everybody's, not just, I mean, I think we're missing, if we're missing her, we might be missing someone else. So we should take and look at everybody's.
Well, like I said, they literally go down the caseload list and they've been touching base with everyone as to how it's going to be delivered.
Okay, but so if we find out that we messed up with hers, we might have messed up with someone else's. So maybe we should look at all that. I'm not saying we did mess up with hers. I'm just saying if we did, so we overlooked one, we should just make sure we check them all.
And I'm saying that that's part of the process.
Okay.
Yeah, the nature of students with IEPs, every student's program, we looked at individually and all considerations will be taken into account.
I'm just saying, I mean, we could have messed up. So we should look at it all.
Hey, somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Did last Thursday's meeting, was we talking about see what's going to happen after Thanksgiving, the holidays, and then look at another approach?
We have the ability to review this depending on how the virus travels through the county, through the area. We have the ability to review it and to set different dates as we move through. The board approved for this 9 weeks. But if we can make a change, we can make a change. What we're seeing right now is a lot of people projecting there's going to be issues with the holidays because of just the nature of the holidays and the transiency, kids coming home, people going to visit people, all that kind of thing. And right now we're in the middle of a big spike. So it's a question of what it's going to look like come December after Thanksgiving and what it's going to look like early January after Christmas.
Gotcha. Thank you.
And the board can bring up at any time to change that. I mean, we would just have to have a motion, a second, and vote on it. But
Gotcha.
as things change, I don't think we have to wait till January 29th.
Right.
Gotcha.
So,
That's good. Okay, thank you.
yeah, definitely, that can be a fluid thing.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Regular board minutes. Can I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Any discussion, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Change orders. We have construction change orders, and then we have the one that was just added, which is additional water to athletic field. Can I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Gary, you want to walk through these?
Yes, sir.
Okay, CC 005, which would be, I got to compare my list to yours, be your change order 303. The ADA cabinets in the third floor science rooms, when we changed those to provide ADA clearances underneath, it came to surface that the countertops were different thicknesses and different depths. So we went through and revised the necessary ones. And actually, this price surprised me. I was expecting about double that. I think Northeast did a fantastic job with getting those corrected. And that was partially unforeseen and maybe an AE error. I can't weigh in on that. It's kind of a mix of both, I think. Change order 304, WP Spader. This was previously approved by facilities on 10/22. I think you did that through a phone or an email quorum. Doc, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. PC 54, there was an RFI. Each one of the existing sinks to remain was shown to have acid dilution traps installed, but there were 6 that were not indicated. So that's, these are the 6 that had to be added.
Why do they need acid dilution traps if it's all going to one basin, a central basin?
I'm not sure, Eric. I think it has to do with the location of them. I believe the acid trap is down where the loading dock is on 14th Street.
Oh, so these don't connect to that?
No, sir. These are mainly on the east side of the building, on the 13th Street side of the building.
So these don't connect to the glass system or anything?
No, sir. Well, no.
Okay.
They get through the traps underneath each sink. Okay, change order 306 was electrical. Okay, which is a credit, $2,090. We owned rewiring and relocating the existing message board. And I believe the district made some changes and they have it changed to wireless. So this is a credit back for that conduit and wiring and data that doesn't have to be presented there.
Can we just offset 306 and 308 and call it a wash?
306, 308.
When we'd save the overhead and profit, we'd save the bond, and 308 doesn't really match up with the, I think it should be less anyway because it doesn't match up with the unit prices that we were given.
Okay, I can follow through that.
Okay.
So you want to offset 308 and 306, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I'll follow up on that tomorrow and I'll let Doctor know. Okay, the remaining items here are allowances as far as the electricals. After the stage rigging lighting was roughed in, once everything was installed, we discovered the lighting cables were too short, and when the rigging was let down, it's pulling the rigging off center. We relocated the blocks to correct the issue, and therefore the electrical cable was too short. The cost to replace the cable, this isn't just typical conduit wire or regular wire. The cost to replace the cable was right around $25,000. So we made corrections to move different items to make this work at this price. This is an allowance. EC 122, which would be your 308. That's an owner request.
And that'll be covered by the, and that in turn will be covered by the associate foundation.
Which one was that?
The stock ticker foundation is providing the stock ticker and the installation.
Okay.
Yep. EC be your 309. That was an owner request. They needed 3 power receptacles relocated above the ceiling of the TV studio.
Now, shouldn't that be only $650 per receptacle according to EC1, EC1 of the allowances?
No, the distance exceeded the amount allowed on the unit price. Each unit price specifies the maximum distance and what that includes.
What was that distance? Because the sketch looked like it was just taken above the ceiling and over like 20 feet.
I'll have to find out, Eric. I cannot answer that off the top of my head.
Okay, I'm a no on that one.
Okay. Let me make a note here real quick. Alrighty, we are down to 310. That was an owner request. We added a data line and an outlet to the main office and to the principal's reception area.
Why was that? Why was there additional labor on that one? You used the allowance, but then there was another line item for additional labor.
Okay, let me pull that one up here real quick. 125. Yeah, he has 2.5 hours additional labor.
For what?
Is that because it was already a finished surface?
That was part of it. And then this involved a subcontractor who was D'Agostino. So the superintendent was working through D'Agostino, supervising their work, getting them set up, processing the paperwork.
And what does he do?
I'm sorry?
What does Agostino do?
They're the data contractor.
But the data was part of the allowance. It should have been included in that. I mean, the allowance should include it in any supervision that they needed to provide.
Okay, let me go back on that one.
Okay.
Get this covered here.
Eric, are you all right with 304? Because I know you questioned that.
Yeah, I'm okay with 3 or 4.
Okay, Doc, I don't know if it wound up on your agenda or not. There was one electrical change order that we didn't have pricing for.
Right.
We want to pull that. That did not come in today.
All right.
Okay.
You don't have a ballpark at all, do you?
No, I don't, sir.
All right. So 311 will be pulled for next month?
Yeah. Well, it probably needs to happen as soon as I get the pricing in. So I will get that to you as soon as I receive it. And you can decide how you want to go about it.
I'll take it to the committee. Are we expecting it to be above $10,000?
No, sir.
I wouldn't think so. If I can just
No.
take it. Yeah, 311 is, they had to put maglock doors to the outside of the courtyard and the circuits that had to be put in the controls. I don't think you'd want to venture a guess, would you?
No, because that's not only the mag lock, but there's also card readers and then the programming. So those could be timed to the times that they would be unlocked and available. So
All right.
no. Go ahead.
Get me a finalized number and I'll send it out to the committee.
Okay. Yeah, I've sent like 3 different requests. In fact, I followed up with a phone call with Dennis this morning. Had to leave him a voicemail. Told him I really needed this before tonight. I did not get it yet. So I'll continue to chase that down. Okay, that takes us back up to 312. There's a VAV. The decking in there, that room is extremely high. It's up around above 10 feet where the VAV is hanging. The ceiling was called out. It's a hard ceiling, a gypsum board ceiling. It was called out at 8 foot. There's no way that we could get a person up through an access panel in order to reach that VAV. Unfortunately, by the time that was discovered, they already had the framing up. So they pulled the framing down, raised it up, and allow access to that for maintenance purposes. 133. That was owner request. Doc, you need to elaborate on that.
It was Phil needed to get the lines and the coaches' boxes, et cetera, taken care of appropriately for the IM field. So that's adjustments. 313. That's adjustments to the turf design.
So it's nothing to do with the color of the end zones or anything?
Not that I know of. There were no changes in color. It all has to do with, it just has to do with the number of lines and those kinds of things.
Now, the old IM field doesn't have that coach's box on it, or didn't have that coach's box. Do we really need it? I mean, can't we just do 2 lines and that's it?
I think the issue with the old IM field was that you didn't have the width to be able to put them on, like especially on the 7th Avenue side.
But if we're not going to use this for games, can't we just put 2 lines and that's it? I mean, isn't that enough to?
Middle school people will use it for games. And I'll probably hit it maybe with that soccer. So, well, I think people know. Great team. And the coach's box, the official box.
Why wasn't this in the original plan or original bid?
Because it wasn't designed into the structure. I mean, what they basically did is they took the existing IM field and they tried to recreate it, but they could make it full width, they could make it full length, so we have a full field. We actually have more space, but was it 10, 15 feet wider than the old field, which is the reason Phil has the ability to put some of these pieces in.
So was he consulted initially?
Well, yeah, but the thing is, when there was just the amount of information that was being taken care of to create it. I don't think we had we had the spec, but we didn't have a full breakdown in a fashion. It's like, do you need to make a change? This is what the lines will cost.
I guess, do we really need the lines with it diagonal markings for just a line on each side enough to tell the coaches they can't go past this line?
Well, we really need to identify for the officials that they can find out that we actually have we can work something.
Okay.
It is something that's needed, yeah.
Okay.
So this is going to be a full-length field.
Yes.
Good.
It's a full football field, and it's not as wide as Mansion Park. What are we talking? It's 190 wide?
It's short in width of soccer.
Right.
Width for width, for length is fine. Football is fine.
So for soccer, you can't play official games there.
We would not play high school games.
It is wide enough to be considered an official high school field, but in comparison to the Mansion, we wouldn't be playing.
So
High school
legally,
games.
we could.
So
play
practice, if
here.
we had to, yes.
If we were,
Can we legally? That's what.
it's the, I believe, it's in the lecture top.
It meets the NFHS minimum,
So I'm saying, okay, I understand.
165, I think, Phil. Is it? I'm pretty sure it's
It's
165.
174 wide,
Right, but I think the minimum is 165.
right, minimum is 165, so it's wider than the minimum, but it's not like Mansion, which is 192.
Okay, and then we have one more, which is your change order 314. That was a code issue. The architect felt that since we weren't doing any work in the stairwells, we didn't have to bring that up to code. The code official felt otherwise, but he did give us a break. Actually, I believe according to code, we would have to replace all the handrails up and down the stairs. He's just having us make some addition to the height at the straight apart across the landings at each one of the stairwells. And then there were 5 unsuitable soils that were already pre-approved. We still have some money left on that. So that's all I have, unless you have questions.
Those railings, why wasn't that caught before this?
Since we were not doing work in the stairwell, we didn't feel we had to make the changes to the railing height. But the code official saw it differently.
Don't the people that design these buildings know the codes?
Yep, it's a code interpretation. People have different opinions of it, but the code official is the one that presides.
And it's making the railing higher. Is that correct?
Yeah, the straight part of the railing across the landings. We looked at several different options on how to do this as cheaply as possible, and this is about the best we could come up with.
Okay, so any other discussion? Go ahead.
Gary, this is Ron. So what did they find in the unsuitable soil?
Everything we were finding before.
Bricks.
Yeah, underneath the old B building where the rotunda used to be, they had some pumps down there that were running almost constantly for the groundwater. And unfortunately, over the years, that water would back up, spread out, underground. And a lot of that soil was just totally deteriorated. It was muck, could not be reused. There was one area that had a old abandoned tunnel. The one time part of it had been filled in. That was right underneath the edge of the track. So that had to be excavated and filled. Just basically the same thing we found on the other side of the street, underneath the parking lot area in the building.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Gary.
Anyone else?
Just, we used to get an email or whatever telling us who we thought was responsible for these change orders. Can we get that again?
Yeah, this week was more like, how can I get all this stuff done while COVID's happening? I apologize for
The
that.
only thing else I have is, when are we going to be done with the stage? It seems like there's always change orders galore in the stage.
The stage should be done. If the contractor's in to put the seats in, it should be done this week.
So probably no more change orders for the stage.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
They're putting the sound panels, the ceiling panels in the music rooms. The stage, they were putting the edge on the stage itself. At this point, I think the only thing that's really left is to finish assembly of the seat.
And the flooring. Was told today that looks like December 4th is an achievable date to become 100% completely out of the auditorium, barring any more problems. And then the music rooms, as we're putting the sound panels up, we're going to knock out a room at a time, and we'll turn those over to you as those become available individually, not hold them until all three are done.
Okay, so we're going to move forward with a vote, and we are pulling 311.
Yes.
Is that correct? Are we also pulling 309 and 310? Because I think Gary said he had more work to do on those.
309 and 310. Yes, that's the two I want to follow up on.
So we're actually pulling 309, 310, and 311.
He knows all, and what I'll do when he gets the final numbers, I'll take it to the committee.
Okay,
But that's all allowances on top of that.
do we need to revise the motion in second?
Who did the original motion?
I did. I always do.
And Eric seconded. Do you rescind your second?
Yeah, we're sending the second.
Can we make the adjustments to the motion, Rick?
I'll make the adjustments. The new, we'll take those ones out and I'll remove the motion.
Okay, are you going to redo? Maybe make the motion?
Yes, I'm making the motion without those included.
You seconded, Eric?
Yeah, second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
I just have
Thank you, Gary.
a question, Mr. Brick. Are we still paying the architect the 5.7% change order allowance? Is that still in effect?
It's all in the contract.
Okay, so I'm good with the change orders because the school must be built, but I'm opposed to the 5.7% change order allowance for the architect.
Okay, so noted.
Thank you.
Motion passes. Moving on, finance.
Did we have to go with this other one? That we just
The
got?
addition, I thought that was added. We added that.
I added the motion over the spigot on the field.
We didn't discuss it.
We have a motion for the water line to the
I'll
IM.
move it again.
Second,
Second.
Okay, Ron second. Okay, now discussion on that.
Now, do we really think we're putting bathrooms in? I mean,
No.
if we're not gonna put bathrooms in, why put a 2-inch line in?
Well, the whole thing is who knows what they're going to want to do down the road, and it's going to be cheaper now to do it than later. If you have to add water line later, you've now got to go back through underneath the road and put it in.
Yeah, I understand that. What I could see us paying $7,200. They're gonna put in this line. They're gonna put in that yard hydrant. A year from now, kids are gonna be screwing around with that yard hydrant. It's gonna get locked closed. They're gonna shut the water off inside the building, and nothing's gonna happen to it. So we're gonna have a line that we spent $7,200 on. For what? If you really think that they're not talking get vandalized and that we're gonna use water there, I mean, it's a turf field, so we don't need it for watering anything.
You do have some lawn area in areas around the field, and there's no way to fill water jugs or anything over there. We are getting a bargain on this because we're able to fall in with the HVAC dual temp piping crossing the road, so we're not paying for excavating or patching the road. We're going to fall into his trench. There's a 3-way T going in. It'll be just up against the east wall, existing wall that's staying. And we'll cap 2 of those underground, run 1 up for the yard hydrant. And you would have 2 additional connections available there down the road if you see the need for it.
How much cheaper would it be if we just ran the 1-inch line?
We started with the 1-inch line is what we originally proposed, and that's when Dr. P came in and said he would like to go to a 2-inch and then add the other 2 T's to be capped off. We didn't get pricing on the 1-inch line. We hadn't gotten that far with it when this change was asked for.
Because unless we're putting bathrooms in, there's no reason to run a 2-inch line.
Then we can approve it at a 1-inch line, and the pricing will be adjusted. I know we need water to the practice field. I was just thinking, I don't want to run a line over there, and then somewhere down the road, now we're going to run another line.
Well, it sounds like the place to put the bathrooms is the whole way on the other side of the field, correct?
That's where we would have room. I
And
mean,
that's a long.
once again, we're
that's a
looking
long distance.
down the line. I mean, we're talking years from now.
Yeah.
So you're saying this line's running up 14th Street?
I'm saying this line is running right from the building, right underneath 14th Street.
Right.
And it'll be right there.
If we'd ever do bathrooms, it'd be down at the mountain line, so we'd have to run another line anyway.
But this is the most expensive part of the line. You're getting it under the street.
Yeah, I understand that.
And if you had to run the line, all the way across to the bathrooms,
If you have to run the line from 14th Street down to the mountain line, it's going to cost more than probably going up and running the line down at 16th Street or whatever.
Right. Right.
So 1 inch would be more than enough, I think, up here. If we were already at the other end of the field, I could understand.
Mine going to my house is 3/4.
It's just plastic, so 1 inch.
Oh, this is plastic. Yeah, mine's copper. So this is a plastic line.
So if you guys want to go with 1 inch, I would still say approve it because they're gonna be doing it the next week. But we'll adjust the price to have it be with 1-inch line.
How much is it gonna save approximately?
The biggest increase is going to be the fittings. I mean, the labor is pretty much going to be the same. They're going to tap it into the 6-inch line in the basement of the building anyways. I just didn't want to be in a situation 10 years down the road, but why we just put a 1-inch line we
Well,
can't
I'm
do
just
anything with.
thinking if it's not gonna save that much money, why wouldn't you just do the 2-inch?
And will the line be installed in conduit? I assume it is. And I know at your home, when you do that, you can change lines much easier. And you know, I know 2-inch would give you more volume and gives you more possibility of expanding whatever you're doing on that field.
The line will not be in conduit. It's direct buried.
So, okay, so that's a difference there because you'd have to dig everything up and do it. I mean, why isn't it in conduit if it's going under roadway?
It's got to be at least 4 feet down. So that's not an issue. It has to be down below the frost line. And again, we're just running parallel alongside the dual temp piping that runs over to the public library across the field. So we're jumping into their trench and running right alongside them.
So this is gonna be for a water fountain? It's a water line where they can fill jugs, they can fill water bottles, they can put a water fountain on, they can put a hose on it. It's the ability of having water at the field at this point. And it also gives you the ability
water there, because for an athletic field, you need water.
Let me ask you a dumb question. He just said they're gonna run a line clear down to the library?
No, they're not running. They're running the heating and cooling lines for the library going underneath the field.
Right.
This is running simply to the other side of
No, I know that,
14th Street.
but that's what I'm wondering. Not that I want to do that expense, but if they're gonna have the ditch go to the other end of the field to run the line the whole length, but that would be an expense if they're.
Right, that's gonna.
Right.
So do you want to revise this to a 1-inch line?
Gary,
I
Gary,
mean-
this is Mike Baker. Do you have any idea like what the savings is to go down to a 1-inch from the 2?
No, sir, I do not.
I mean,
I guess
to me, it just makes
$3,000.
sense to future-proof it. I mean, I wouldn't think it's a huge difference.
Yeah, 2 inches is pretty big. I could see.
I'm saying I think $3,000 you should be able to put that line in 1 inch. It's just plastic PEX. You just put it in the ditch when they have the other piping in.
Okay, the big part of the cost on this is the tie-in in the A building mechanical room. Let me look here real quick. We have to have backflow preventers and
Yeah, can we tie into the 2-inch line instead of the 6-inch line to save some money there?
yes, we're tying into the 2-inch line. That was a revision that we made. Because there's already a 2-inch line, which I believe is makeup water for the boilers. And since
Correct.
we're in different seasons, that shouldn't impact the water flow in either case.
I was thinking you can hook onto that 2-inch line and run everything in PEX, and you can get it over there relatively cheap.
Okay, just tell me what you want me to do.
I mean, I guess the question is whether it's a substantial savings or not at a 1-inch versus a 2-inch.
I think what we need to do is we need to approve the water line and
See what the difference is.
to see what the difference is. If the difference is over 1,000, we go with a 1-inch line. If this is difference is less than 1,000, we go with the 2-inch line. Are you amicable to that, Eric?
Yeah.
You amicable to that change, Rick?
Yes.
Catch it?
Yep.
Okay,
So
one more question. If we go with the 1-inch, do you still want the three T?
just put the 1-inch line, because you split, I just know when you split it down, you're just gonna get less and less and less,
Okay,
and then at some point in time, somebody's gonna try to hook something up to it, and there's just not gonna be enough water.
So if 1-inch saves $1,000.
More than 1,000 that we go to 1-inch.
So what we're doing is actually approving a water line, and price is going to determine whether it's 1-inch or 2-inch.
Correct.
And that difference is $1,000.
Right. Difference is over 1,000, we'll go to 1-inch line.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Now, moving on to finance. List of payments, financial reports, and an ESS contract addendum, sub-pay rate date extension. Can I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion on any of these questions?
I have a question. We're spending check number 117258. $6,700 or $6,271. Is that just for masks only?
258.
Yeah.
She's behind you.
Huh?
I can hear her.
I thought that's what I looked up.
117258.
Oh, then that ain't it. It's one for masks for 6,000.
That's for 1,100 masks, like, they were $5. That's great, yeah.
But that's for 1,000 packs.
They
I'm just
can't,
asking if
those
that's just
masks are
for
no
mass
more than
only
30
or-
cents, 36 cents a piece. For packs, all right.
So that's
Fine.
for masks only though.
That's probably
Yeah.
1,000 boxes.
Okay. Then the only other question is the referees, are they always different prices? Like soccer is 115, football is 100.
Any other questions, comments?
Oh, I had a question on is there a 505? The sub pay, I guess, 503.
503.
In there, it says long-term sub, guest teacher, full days 210. The other subs are like 120.
That shouldn't be there. We've already changed that to the full, that once it goes over 91 days. In the contract, we've already agreed to 80% of the step one for a certified teacher. It goes to 210 after 91 days for a guest teacher, because sometimes we'll emergency certify a guest teacher to be a sub. Like there might be somebody, if we need a biology teacher, we need a French teacher, and we have someone we might have someone who's perfectly fluent in French, but has a business degree, and we'll emergency certify them because they have no teaching certificate at all, but we can't find a French sub. They would be considered a guest teacher, and their rate would bounce. If they hit 91 days in position, their rate would bounce to 210. That's actually a pushback from 60 days, which is what it used to be.
Okay. Well, it was a lot more than the other ones, so that's the reason I was asking.
Well, that's a good question. Well, all we're asking for is an extension of the 120 base rate to the end of the 9 weeks. That's all we're asking for. Correct, Tamara? Right.
Now, the long-term substitute guest teacher, are they still coming under the substitute teacher agreement, or are they now in district
No,
employees?
a guest teacher can't be in a guest teacher can't be in the teachers union because they can't get a contract. They're not certified. They don't have the certification, or they have the ability to get the certification. They're on an emergency cert as a guest teacher, which is the reason we have a separate rate. Am I correct, Tamara? Because you explained it to me. Cool, right.
Now, if they're certified though, then they come under the teacher's contract.
Right.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
So I have a question on 502 too. The investments for October for capital reserve, is that really all the rate we're making for the savings for the money? 0.02, 0.01?
Yes, they are everywhere.
So we have $8 million in capital reserve. We're making less than $12,000, $14,000 on interest. And we're not allowed to invest that anywhere else.
We're restricted by school law. Yeah, there's general funding, have some money in that.
Right. No, I know it's not much higher, but it's better than the other one. Okay.
There was a time when school districts were allowed to invest in different forms, but then there was an issue. I don't remember when it happened, but a whole bunch of school districts lost a boatload of money, and so the laws were changed.
Well, I think we should be allowed to go a little better than that, but okay.
Okay, any other questions? Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Education. Altoona Area Junior High School 2021 Summer School Proposal and Adult Education MOU. Volunteer approval. NAE pay for P for fourth grade students at Juniata Gap and Pleasant Valley Elementary. Clear the List and Clorox Grants, Organ and Tissue Donation Awareness Project, PSU Talent Search Grant Proposal. Can I get a motion and a second?
So moved.
I'll second that. Questions, concerns? I have a question on the summer school proposal.
Mhm.
Being that we're in the situation that we are right now and our students aren't back to school full time, how can we plan ahead for summer school at this point?
We get our summer school proposals approved this time every school year. Obviously, last year we modified that. We did not offer junior high school summer school due to COVID. And what we would be doing is putting forth this basically pending what our COVID situation is come the end of the school year. But we do like to have a plan proposal in place many months in advance, because we will start to look at hiring of staff, use of facilities, summer lunch program, all of those things. This is standard, but if we get to a point where COVID is still in place and we're not able to offer summer school, we would not offer summer
Modify
school.
it.
Correct.
It's appropriate.
But we're not going to go forward and hire teachers to do
No,
it and everything.
those
because-
recommendations would come in April. Once we identify whether or not we're going to have the program. We had actually hired teachers last year for the summer school program and then did not offer it. So because it was not offered, those teachers were not paid a stipend. They do timesheets, so they submit timesheets. They're not paid like a stipend or anything in advance.
Okay.
They submit timesheets and they're paid as their timesheets come in.
Right there.
I mean, I hope we can do it. I hope we're back to full-time in school and we can do it, but who knows?
That's money as earned.
That's
Okay.
correct. That's correct.
What is Clear the List and Clorox Grant?
They're grants that we have the ability to generate a little bit of money from. Haley, you want to talk about those?
Guys, just for the record, we're going to get yelled at again. No one online can hear anything.
This one's live over here.
About that. The Clear the List Clorox grant were grants that teachers had the opportunity to apply for. They could apply for items that are listed on the Clorox site that they provided. So they could apply for items like Clorox wipes, different things for their classroom as a wish list. So we had 2 teachers that were granted that in $500 a piece. So they are now purchasing items off of that list for their classroom. All of those items then become designated for the school district if they're hardware or any items like that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, and the next one, I kind of have a question. Maybe you have the answer to that. Organ Tissue Donation Awareness Project.
Yeah. So our phys ed department actually received that grant last year as well. And it is an opportunity to promote organ and tissue donation with our high school students. They were able to purchase different items in regard to wristbands for the children to track their, activity, pulse, different items. In addition to being able to have presenters and professional learning about those items for students.
Okay. That's all I have. Any other questions? All in favor?
Thank you, Haley.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Personnel. League coordinators.
Remember, we're pulling B2. Athletics.
Yeah.
Athletics B2.
Off of the personnel
Right.
list, and then the personnel items. Can I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
I'll second that. Any questions, comments?
I have a question on the league coordinators.
Yes, sir.
So is this not something that either Phil or Jolene would do, that we're paying other people to do?
They would work. When we put forth the athletic transition proposal last year, this was for the 6th grade, which is new. Coordinating 6th grade basketball leagues for our boys and girls teams. They would be working with the athletic directors on scheduling facilities, but they would be fully in charge of the day-to-day operations at the event. So for example, if you have your sixth grade boys league and girls league on Saturday and Sunday, they would be there coordinating officials, getting event workers, your scorekeepers, everyone that you needed. We had a full breakdown of what those positions would be. And the reason that we're putting forth the way that it is in the event that we have bad weather, have to cancel a weekend. They were approved at $2,000 for the year for each of the 2 league coordinators. We're going to do them $100 per day, up to $2,000 for the course of that league.
Well, it says a couple things there. 7th grade, it says for Doug.
Correct.
So you said just 6th grade.
6th grade is for there's a boys and a girls coordinator for 6th grade. And we've been operating the 7th grade, but we're restructuring how it's paid. So Doug's been paid as an event worker, which he'll continue to be paid as. He has always been the 7th grade league coordinator. That's not new. The 6th grade boys and girls are new, and that was part of the transition plan.
So, and I don't know the whole process, but like I thought Bill had to be at events, and then if he wasn't, we paid someone extra to be there.
That's what these people will be doing.
Okay, so
they are the
so
event managers.
Anticipating Bill or Jill won't be at the events, or am I missing something?
They're going to fully coordinate the league in terms of team recruitment. Right now they're getting ready to run open gyms. They'll coordinate that process of selection of volunteer coaches, the drafting of the players, the coordination of uniform distribution,
Okay, well,
all
I
of
guess
those
I
items.
still don't understand if we have athletic directors, why we're having other people do this.
6th grade athletics, first and foremost, do not fall under PIAA. They are clubs. These are essentially operating as clubs for 6th grade, because your PIAA athletics are grades 7 through 12. So in terms of the governance of that,
you told us before that we're going to make all this money on leagues, and
this money will be self-sustained. These leagues will be self-sustaining through the fees that are charged to the teams. They're going to be part of it, and the people coming in, correct.
And that's going to cover some of this?
It's going to cover all of it. These leagues will be fully self-sustaining. If you'd like, I can re-forward you the budget for both of those leagues.
So basically that is at no cost to the district.
It will be at no cost to the district. However, there's not a starting balance, because this is all monies that will be generated as the leagues get up and running. So they will basically be operating in the negative until we are able to bill. So for example, when Doug and Mike and Ryan run that first weekend, there'll be money generated from league fees. There'll be money generated from the gate. And then those monies will be deposited to pay for them as event workers at $100 per event day, which is about 6 hours, to run those leagues.
Do we know if the fees will be comparable to CBRC?
Fees for the teams, I think we're looking at $300 for each team for coming in, and then obviously we had our gate fees per entrant. There's a student rate. Correct. They will be charged a $50 registration fee as well, just like we would normally for any athlete, any out in the school district. Yes.
Any other questions, conversations? Okay, now we pulled B2 under athletics. So for the rest of it, all in favor?
Hold on. There are 2 under athletics.
B2. There's another one?
That's the only one we wanted to pull, B2.
Okay, so he's still serving for B5 then?
As a volunteer?
Yeah.
Yes.
Are we okay with
I
that?
don't understand that. We should
He
talk
was-
about this in executive.
Okay. Give me 1 second. Just want to make sure. Mr. Ricchio. Can you clarify if it was for both? It was for both. I apologize. It is for both.
Okay, so under athletics, it is B2 and B5 are
yes.
pulled.
I apologize. That was minor.
That's okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I have a question. You got B2
In athletics,
on athletics, so we're
page
pulling
7 and page 8
B2 and B5.
B2
and B5.
and B5. We're just pulling it.
We're pulling those,
Pulling,
yes. Okay. So are you in favor?
No.
No, okay. Motion passes. Okay, student services. UPMC Western Behavioral Health of the Alleghenies LOA and Evolution LOA. Can I have a motion and a second?
Motion.
Second? I'll second that. Any questions? Concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Business operations. Capital Reserve, list of payments. Repository bids. Amtran STA bus drivers. Summer food service program. And that is a motion. I have a motion and a second.
So moved.
Just one reminder, the summer food program is going through June 30th, 2021.
How's it going to run with the hybrid model?
Susan's.
We're currently exploring a variety of options. Our initial thought is to offer the kids on their off day. When they leave at the end of the day, we'll give them a bag they can take home to provide them the following day. We're still trying to work out the logistics of being able to provide meals.
Thank you.
Can we have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Now that program, it's called the Summer Food Program and it ends on June 30th, 2021.
It's because it's been extended from last year straight through this fall. It was extended to December and now it's been extended for the remainder of the school year. So we're approving to extend the program. It's because of COVID, they created it in March and it gave us the ability to do the food distribution and they kept extending it. And so that's the reason it's
And
say
this
summer foods and it's stopping in June. It makes no sense.
Okay.
It's just because the way they did this is just continuing that program.
And this is for all students.
Yeah. Somebody mute a mic.
Me.
Frank, can you hear the feed?
No.
Neither can I. We can't hear anything.
I hear you guys.
Yeah, and I think they can hear us. Chuck, can you hear us?
Yes.
There
Well,
we
now
go.
I hear you.
Okay, I think it's fixed.
It's fixed. Can you hear it, Dave?
Yep.
All right.
We have a motion and a second on the issue of Mansion Park turf and track resurfacing to table that until December. In case you hadn't heard that.
We got it.
Through our mic.
What's the reasoning for doing that?
On the 5-year plan, it says that the bleachers should be done first and then the track second. And this was news to me. I just think we need to look at some of the other some of the other items on the 5-year plan that money needs spent on. I'm
Well,
not opposed to doing Mansion Park, but I just want to make sure that we're spending the money correctly. We only got $8 million.
when the 5-year plan was made, the turf was already in for 5 years. So I'm assuming whoever did the 5-year plan didn't put that in the equation.
They put it in for 2021, 22 to do the turf. Not this year.
2021, we put it in for.
Not what the 5-year plan showing. The one you sent says 2021, 22. It says bleachers for this year.
Oh, I see on the agenda, my agenda's wrong. It's about hiring Stephen Park to design for the turf and so forth. So is this something different than what's on the agenda?
No, he's talking about, he wants to table the motion till December.
That's fine with me.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So then we can discuss it. At
Motion
facilities.
tabled. New business. Health and Nursing Services. Families First Coronavirus Response Act. Can I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second?
Thank you. Questions?
Yeah, can you explain the Families First Coronavirus Response Act to us?
We have, in order for our employees to access the coronavirus leave and have that leave count towards retirement, the board has to approve it.
Okay.
And we found this out a week or two ago when the superintendents were discussing it and Hollywood had put it on their agenda that it had to be approved.
Is there a specific amount of time that they can take, or?
They get a maximum of 10 days, if I'm correct. And it's equivalent of 10 sick days. And there's also family assistance days, which are 2/3, but it's still just 10 days, right? Right. And but it expires in December 31st, as of right now.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Committee reports. Anyone have any committee reports they would like to share?
The only thing I would like to add, we had a phone call earlier. Once again, we talked about the percentage of parents that want students back in the school. Every single one of us wants students back in the school. There is no doubt about that. We all wish this hadn't happened. And one of the things we certainly have to look out for, yes, families can make those decisions, but we also have staff we have to worry about. Teachers, teachers' aides, custodians, kitchen workers, all those people that come into the schools as well. And I've got to say, one of the things we all can do as a community, since we all want these kids back in school, is to follow the CDC guidelines. And I point it out every time and people get mad at me. But I am saying this boardroom is a microcosm of what's going on in the community. We have staff members and several board members wearing masks. We have several members not wearing masks and not social distancing. And what I see as we sit here is, for instance, if Mr. Cruz tomorrow got sick, how many people in this room would be quarantined? It's just a fact that this is a community and everything touches everything else. If we want the kids back in school and everybody wants that, then we have to come together as a community to make that happen in the most responsible way possible. And I have no idea, none, why every time I bring this up, it brings laughs. And people think it's funny when we're asking our staff and our students to follow guidelines. We refuse, apparently, to follow in a board meeting. I don't understand if it's because I'm bringing it up. This is science. CDC guidelines say masks. They say social distancing. If Ed, Eric, or Kelly tomorrow tested positive, we would lose half the board and they would have to be on quarantine. Listen, this isn't rocket science. I know I'm crazy for listening to doctors and listening to experts, but I want to have the safest community possible to educate students. And I'm telling you right now, the best example we can make as a school board, the best example we can do is following the guidelines we ask our faculty and students to follow. And if we're not going to do that and we're going to smirk and laugh when I bring it up, then that's going to be part of the reason why we can't have our students back in brick and mortar. End of rant.
Rick, I'm not smirking or laughing. I wore my mask in here and I feel very comfortable with the distance between the two people beside me.
Well, how close can you reach out and touch Ed, Kelly? Okay. Well, then that must be deceptive. But I'm telling you, this is part of our issue, ladies and gentlemen. If the entire community does not come together to combat this, if we don't all come together and do what is required, this is the problem. This is why we're having this issue, ladies and gentlemen. And until we address it, we can sit back and say we want kids in school. Everyone does. Let's follow the guidelines. Let's come together as a community to make sure we can send the kids back safely. Once again, end of rant. Thank you.
And I want kids back in school. I want kids, all of our kids back in school. And there are other schools our size doing it. And we need to, as soon as possible, do this. This will be probably brought up at every board meeting that we have. So just know that we're fighting for you. As soon as we can do it, it'll be done. Thank you.
Sharon, show some solidarity with our staff and wear a mask.
Superintendent report.
We're preparing for the transition to the next phase of reopening. I want to congratulate the football team on a great season, the boys soccer team on a great season, the girls soccer team on a great season, all of our small sports teams. We had a couple of young ladies in states over the weekend for cross country. We had a young lady participate in the state first round of the state playoffs in singles tennis. Congratulate all those kids for all their hard work and all their accomplishments. But thank you to our faculty for as we work through the transition here today and tomorrow. And appreciate everyone's help making this whole thing happen. Thank you.
Just real, Paul, a fall show. Our fall show, our kids have been working hard to put that together. It's going to be available this Friday. Links online. So if anyone would like to, $5, which obviously supports our drama program. So
Junior high one was posted.
yes, so those are both available, and kudos goes out to those groups for under very different and extreme circumstances putting together those productions.
The high school's doing War of the Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
It should really be cool. You remember the old Orson Welles? It's really going to be a great production.
So, what did you say they're going to be streamed?
Stream. You can watch. You have to pay. It's paid for service, but right. you can watch it online. Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
Yes, I'd like to give my ending statement I always do. Thank you very much to the teachers and the faculty for doing an incredible job during this unprecedented time of a pandemic. You are doing great work. You are appreciated, everything you do. Keep up the good work, and we are proud of you for doing your job.
Anyone else?
Oh, yes, Mr. President. I'd like to touch on Dr. Preentail's remarks about sports. I was unable to go to the football game on Friday night, but the announcer kept saying over and over again, Altona, what happened to Altona? My gosh, they had won one game, and look at them now. They're in the playoffs. They won districts. Surprise State College. I would like to see the football team and some of the other sports, volleyball, girls cross country, We had tennis players go to state, like see them recognized somehow. We can't get them in here, but somehow if we could recognize them some way, but you know, that's
Sounds like
definitely a job well done.
Good.
Yeah,
Good idea.
by all coaches and players.
Anyone else? Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.